And that sound means it's the start of another Missal for the masses. I'm your host, Gary.
And I'm Casey.
And this is the Chaplain's Assistance Motorpod. This is the podcast that's centered around the vehicles, playsets, and even trailers of the G.I. Joe, a real American hero toy line from 1982 to the present day. We also talk other action and military and adventure toy lines, and sometimes we even talk about comics as well. And Casey, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
Hanging in there. Anything good in the old mailbag that you haven't discussed already on the old podcast from the pit live stream Saturday mornings?
No, I've talked about everything, but I mean, just to go back at it, I mean, I got my first Hiya figures, Hiya toys. I got the Negan and the zombie from Dead City. Fantastic figures. I'm just hoping it doesn't drag me down another rabbit hole, which I'm prone to go under.
Well, that's the thing about collectors. There's always a neat little rabbit hole that we didn't think we'd be interested in, and then we stick our heads in to discover.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's the only two Walking Dead ones I can find right now. So there's that. Can't really dig too deep when I can't find anything else. I believe I already talked about the Valiant stuff. I'm sorry, not Valiant, but Valiverse stuff I got from their sale.
Yeah, that's in a previous
Yeah.
Missal that has yet to been released, and if it's, unless it was a live stream, which that would be the Ronnie live stream that is currently available on the YouTube channel.
I don't know. I did it. I showed it off today on podcast from the pit. So yeah, nice stuff. Very happy to get it. Great deals on it.
Nice.
Really planning on maybe getting some more troop builders from Delta 17 because they got the sale going on.
Yeah, that's right, and it's going for how long?
It ends on the 30th.
Ends on the 30th of September, so that tells me as of this recording, that's 17 days. So, and I'm planning on having this edited in about 2 weeks. So
buy quick, kids.
Yeah, buy quick when you listen to this one. Oh, geez. Yeah, that's a good reason for me to get off my tukush and edit some Missals. And yeah, I have not really gotten anything really of note. Just ended up, the big purchase, my wife and I financing another car to replace hers, which was, that was an adventure today. So I don't think I got money for toys for a little while. gotta recoup again. But anyway, let's move on to tonight's topic. The 1984 G.I. Joe SHARC, the flying submersible vessel from 1984, came with Deep Six, and the inspiration for this missile came from, actually, Casey, your live stream with Ronnie, when you guys were talking about G.I. Joe figures. You had to say something nice about figures you didn't like.
It was a struggle, yes. For the most part.
And Deep Six was on that list. Casey, do you remember the nice thing you said about Deep Six?
Yeah, head sculpt. Head sculpt and like the color, color choices.
Okay. Yeah, it's we'll get into it some more, but yeah, I gotta say the color is very good, and I'll agree with the head sculpt. And I've seen some cool things done in customizing with the Deep Six figure, but we're still getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So thanks to the wonderful website 3D Joes, we have the images there up and running.
I've said it before, it's a terrific website. When we do our list shows, I usually go through 3D Joes and yojoe to do my list.
So 1984's G.I. Joe Shark. I just brought up the cover of the box, the front box. Casey, will you describe to the listeners what you're seeing on the box?
Well, I'm seeing the shark firing off lasers, which is pretty cool. I see Deep Sick looks very uncomfortable, and I would be uncomfortable. Uh, splashing. It looks like it's coming out of the water, which is pretty cool. Looks like it's shooting up from the water to get probably a fang or something. That would be my guess. I love the explosion background. It's I don't know. I had higher hopes for this when I got it as a kid.
And so I'm going to ask you real quick, Casey, because when you got this as a kid, were you watching the G.I. Joe cartoon?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because that was my introduction to the shark. I did eventually get one of these as a child. It was a hand me down type toy. I can't recall where I got it, if it was at a tag sale or or it was given to me through or a trade from another kid in school. But I had one of these, and the shark for me was heavily influenced by the Sunbow series, and uh, and I think really, I think between the two of us, uh, I think you would agree that is really the prominent media presence for the shark.
Oh yeah. Now I could be wrong, but I'm picturing them sitting down in them in
Yes, in the
Sunbow.
cartoon, yeah, they'd be sitting down. Some of these were two seaters.
Yeah,
They fit too wide. You know, Sunbow is great for scaling the toy
to
to
their needs.
match. Yeah, to match. Yeah, and to a lesser extent, the comic book did it too on occasion, but for the most part, Sunbow played fast and loose with the toys. And I have to say, in hindsight, as an adult, it's like, why wouldn't you just, one figure per shark and, blah, blah, blah. But I get now that that was actually brilliant because you're thinking like a kid, and
Mhm.
a kid's imagining using this toy and they might overstuff the cockpit. They might, they play with it as kids. They're not taking things so literally. And that is one of those things now that I remember fondly about the cartoon, if not, just, you know, just the adventures overall that they crafted. But, the fact that the writers and the producers of these shows actually, you know, animated these toys as they were played with by kids
Mhm.
or influencing kids to play with them. Uh, and to me, the shark is one of the like the top five vehicles that the cartoon really helps sell the toy.
Would number one be Sky Striker?
No, I'd say Skyhawk.
I was say because everybody can fly a Sky Striker.
Yeah, you don't, when you have that 14 Tomcat for the Sky Striker, yeah, the AH-1 Cobra for the Dragonfly. Those were grounded in reality. But the flying submarine, the Shark, the submersible high speed attack and reconnaissance craft. There's an acronym for you.
Yeah.
Um, this thing needed that. This was that cutting edge sci-fi toy, the cutting edge, you know, military vehicle that the GI Joe team really played with, and this was that visionary of, the future force or of that Kirk Bazigian, like to think of GI Joe as being 7 to 13 years ahead of the real world. Just this is a great example of that. Just to say another thing
Mm.
too, with the shark on the front of the box, you also got a, di- a you also got a bubble where you see Deep Six through the bubble, the clear plastic bubble, and then next to it you have the cartoon of the pump bellows to make Deep Six submerge or surface. So showing, on the front of the box, the action feature of Deep Six.
I don't think I ever did that when I was a kid. I don't think I ever did that.
It's interesting. I've never done it because I didn't have Deep Six until as an adult,
Hmm.
but I got plenty of Deep Sixes and I've got a couple bellows and hoses. So maybe this is something I should, try to play with as an adult just to experience it.
Do you have a fish tank?
I have a bathtub.
Eric's got his in a fish tank. Oh
Yeah. No, the other thing I have, and it doesn't work too well because I've already lost a couple things to it, is my stream in my backyard.
yeah.
So yeah, I've already lost a couple things to the stream. So I'm wondering. I wonder. So I actually got the my slop sink next to. I'm hearing the air come through. I can't
Yeah.
hear. I got my headphones on.
I was gonna say I can hear it.
Oh, you can hear it through
Hmm.
the microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to. It's not playing through my headphones, so I can't hear it. I heard it that time. So that's interesting. Now I kind of want to pause this and put it in my sink real quick and just see what it does. Yeah, screw it. I'm gonna
Okay.
pause this real quick, Casey, and I'm just gonna see what it does because it sounds like the air's coming through the feet.
Okay.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Okay, now that I bored Casey for 5 minutes,
Did it
uh,
work?
yeah, it did. I was like super. I was like super. I was like super excited. So, I know we're like way out of order because normally, if you're listening to the podcast before, we do the front of the box, back of the box, then we go to the character, then we read the blueprints, and then we talk about the toy and the blueprints of the toy. So, yeah, we just went out of order because so the front of the box just made me want to play with my GI Joe,
That's awesome.
one of my less favorite GI Joes. And yeah, so there's these two little ports. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these two little ports on the bottom of the feet are essentially connected to the little port on the back of Deep Six. So when you push the bellow, it forces the water that's seeped in um or the air out through those so it jets up.
Huh.
So it took a little practice real quick to get the hang of it, but I did it. And that was kind of fun. Thank you, front of the box.
Yeah, I thought those were just peg holes.
Yeah, a little bit smaller than peg holes. Maybe they'll fit on a 40th or what was it, the 25th anniversary stands. But the peg holes look too small to fit the. No, wait, I got pegs right here. Yeah, it doesn't fit. Not even close.
But to be fair, I mean, he stands on his own. He doesn't need them.
Well, because it looks like there's little metal weights on the bottom of the feet. All right, so he's not quite as lame. Let's go back to the front box. So we're going to turn the box around, see the back of the box. I'll go around. I'll read the back of the box. I'll go in some semblance of an order. Flying submarine SHARC, submersible high-speed attack and reconnaissance craft. G.I. Joe, real American hero. Removable engine cover. The G.I. Joe Mobile Strike Force flying submarine is based on the U.S. Army's top secret weapons systems. It's part of the new modern Army G.I. Joe collection of vehicles, weapons, figures, and accessories. Collect them all. Use the SHARC to help G.I. Joe defend democracy from the evil enemy army of Cobra Command. Okay. Casey, I just read that for the first time because I did so much prep work for the show. What struck me real quickly?
What's that?
It's based on the U.S. Army's top secret weapon systems.
Yeah.
Because obviously the Navy doesn't exist in 1984, Joe.
That's crazy.
Because, the Navy has aircraft, the Navy has submarines. So last I knew, the Army didn't operate underwater.
Yeah, I mean, not that I've ever heard of, but
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that's funny. So we got the gull wing canopy opens. We have the shark floats. The good news is I didn't drain the water out, so they'll be a lot quicker next time. We got we got a little bit of a glare. Super realistic detail. And then it says the veins pivot. We get most G.I. Joe figures can be transported on bottom of sub. That's because of Deep Six. You can only say most. We get action levers elevate twin cannons. Does not shoot. Sturdy construction for rugged play. And it's 3 flag points. And it has 2 removable torpedoes. And the detailed battle prints inside explain fully how a real SHARC would operate. Add them to your G.I. Joe command files. And then, of course, we get a picture of Deep Six, the SHARC, the prototypes, and we get in the lower right-hand corner, we get the file card for Deep Six. So, anything about the back of the box, Casey? You want to?
it looks nice. Like I said, I can't get to my SHARC right now to hold it up. 2 next to it, but it does look a little different. Like,
Yeah, just a couple things I see is notably the pop-up guns. It looks like they weren't ready there with the flaps that went on that clipped on top of the gun. But other than that, it looks pretty faithful to what we ended up getting.
you know what? It's probably just because that's so nice, crisp white on the back there, and mine's a little yellowed.
I'll be the first one to I'm not like one of those Salon 50 guys or brightening guys. I like mine a little bit, a little bit dirty, a little bit played with. But I think it gives the toy character. And but it does. It looks nice. It's different. I like the just overall, it's just a solid design. The Deep Six's face looks a little different, but it could always be the angle.
Mm-hmm.
The figure looks a little bit different. The knees look a little, bulbous. They're not as angled as on the figure.
Yeah, I still don't have this figure. I got hundreds of Joes, and I don't have this figure. I should probably pick them up for a couple dollars.
You can just have Air Hillbilly going to the bottom of his fish tank.
He loves this figure. It's one of his favorites.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, and I might as well say the inset that shows the most G.I. Joe figure. And on the inset, it shows most G.I. Joe figures can be transported on bottom of sub. And who does it have on the bottom of the sub? It has
Torpedo. Yeah, I remember one of the cartoons where they had him riding on the bottom like that.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Yeah. Freaking gnats all around me. I hate it.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt your camping trip.
Yeah. Feels like it.
So we've gone to the box, and obviously the first thing we do after we go to the box is we're going to talk a little bit about Deep Six. So reading off the file card, SHARC Diver, codename Deep Six, file name Willoughby Malcolm R, primary military specialty diver, secondary military specialty small craft pilot, motorized, place of birth Baltimore, Maryland, grade PO second, master diver's rating. Deep Six never won any awards for being friendly. Became a Navy diver so that, in quotes, I could be alone, end quote. Enjoys bottle cap collecting, solitaire, and the New York Times crossword puzzles. Only 12 out of 50 Navy divers passed the strict requirements for the coveted diver position of the Joe team. 8 washed out in the practical application testing. Of the 4 finalists, Deep Six could hold his breath the longest. Torpedo says, in quote, down in the depths where light doesn't reach and the water pressure can crush you like an eggshell, that's where Deep Six likes it, end quote.
It doesn't say anything about him being a SEAL, but Hama has him as a SEAL in the comics.
Do you think is that one of his retcons? Because I don't remember.
It could be.
I don't remember him being a SEAL rated during his early appearances in the Marvel run.
Yeah. Shipwreck too. They got him being a SEAL.
Well, Shipwreck is a SEAL on his file card.
Okay.
But I never played him that way until I got older. Deep Six, he's definitely, of all the Joes, he's like the lonerist. I wouldn't call him lonely because he likes that, but he likes to be alone.
Now, one of my favorite stories was when Hama was, he continued the Marvel run into IDW. And the whale, him and Cutter was on the whale, but they were going down into some underwater thing. I forget what it was. I think it was where the bats were being made underneath the boardwalk.
Yep.
And when they were getting weapons, he made sure to get the same weapons Cutter had. So in case Cutter goes down, he can use his ammo. That's what he said. It cracked me up.
Yeah, he's been paired in the comic book with Cutter a lot.
Uh-huh.
I remember during his early appearances, he was on the freighter that would eventually become landlocked on, I believe it's the same one that eventually gets landlocked on Cobra Island. And, he was just like very, very cold fish.
Yeah.
Very, not standoffish, but just like, he didn't want the camaraderie. He just wanted to do the job and then go back and just, go back to his crossword puzzle or something. I'm sure after he finishes the crossword puzzle these days, he goes to Wordle and the other games on the Times website. This figure, the figure is known for being the only 2 point of articulation G.I. Joe figure in the line. Only the arms that move up and down. He's in a gray deep sea diver outfit. It has the 2 holes in the bottom for the action feature, which we just discussed at length. He's got gray and yellow highlights, gray piping over his right shoulder. He's got yellow over like his joints, and just in general, for the most part, a rather static figure that has some detail molded in. He's got red hair and a head. I've seen guys that have taken apart Deep Sixes for the head sculpt, and he has typical left-right swivel neck construction, even though you can't use the swivel neck because it's, under the dome.
Right.
I've seen great customs of this figure. I forget where I saw it or who did it, and credit to the guy for this idea, was he replaced or carved Deep Six face into a skull and took the bubble off around his head and then just replaced his head with like a skull, like Death Skull or skeleton. So, there's definitely, some things to do with the figure, but me playing with it in my sink just now was the most fun I've had with this figure ever.
Right.
But Casey, you had him as a kid, so
Mm-hmm.
so how did you play with Deep Six?
He just drove the SHARC, or he stayed in the toy box because he wasn't very fun. As a kid, I like to have that, my figures be able to do stuff.
Kind of a shame, but gotta admit, when 1989 comes around, you get Deep Six version 2. I love that figure. I think that's like an awesome figure, but obviously because this has that play feature of diving and coming back up, you can't get that with a traditional O-ring construction. So I will concede it's a fun play feature, but it is rather limited. And I think most kids' experiences will match yours, Casey. And well, I'm happy I got to play with it.
There you go.
So that's the best thing I can say about Deep Six, but we should move on into the blueprints of the SHARC itself. Now, the SHARC came out in 1984 and came with 14 points of interest on the blueprints. So going 1 through 14, we have in the nose of the SHARC, we have the water atmosphere analyzers. So that is this detail that's right before the front of the canopy. We have number 2, we have the target acquisition pilot vision system on the front of the cockpit. It's also a sticker, and it's it's basically positioned in such a way that when you put Deep Six face down in the sub, or any 1984 figure for that matter, they got something to look at. They don't have to raise their neck up, because that articulation wouldn't come out until the 25th anniversary in 2007. We get 3, the boron epoxy skin over titanium frame construction. So that's essentially the monocoque. Number 4, the external electronic engine control module, the E3CM. So that is pointing to the little detail at the top of the SHARC right before the fins.
Okay.
Then we get number 5, the main engine heat dissipator, which is basically the ridging at the back of the SHARC. We get number 6, the engine compartment ventilator screen. So that is the engine cover it's pointing to. And the engine cover has interesting details on the top. It's also, I also want to note that the bottom of the engine cover also has like a textured detail, which I'm trying to show Casey.
Now I can.
So that's nice, because
Yeah.
it's a plastic cover that doesn't need detail on both sides, and yet it does.
That's what G.I. Joe did.
Yeah, right? And then 7, we get the ceramic laminate exhaust nozzles. So that's the back of the engines that are on the wings, I guess you could call it. You get number 8, the twin 30 millimeter tidal wave cannons. So those are the guns that pop up out of the engines. We get number 9, the impact resistant tinted gull wing canopy.
Mm-hmm.
We get number 10, the emergency canopy release access hatch. So there's a little detail on the side of the fuselage of the SHARC, and they saw fit to make it the the release access hatch. So that's pretty. I would have appreciated a sticker on that area. I'll just say that. Could have used a sticker there. I'm going to say it, Casey. They got no step stickers on this.
Yeah.
They could have used some of the space on the sticker sheet, instead of for no step, to be emergency access or something like that.
Yeah, something.
11, we get the main vertical stabilizers guidance rudders. So that's the pivoting rudders on the back of the SHARC. We get number 12, the tungsten main running light. So that's the sticker on the very tip of the SHARC. And then we get 13, the main water atmosphere feeders. So that would be like what I would normally call the engine inlet. And then we finally finish with the number 14, the SHARC Series 1 acoustic homing ASW torpedo. So to me, that says these are sonar locating torpedoes?
I know mine's missing those.
I think I have 2 torpedoes between my two
SHARC.
sharks. Yeah. Things it doesn't point out for on the blueprints is, it's got a wonderfully detailed cockpit. You got a sticker that says absolutely no axis where your character's feet go.
Yeah.
And that's going to like the engine that's underneath the engine cover. The engine, so that's another thing, is just, so nowhere on this, yeah, other than the on the back of the box where it says this Mobile Strike Force flying submarine, does it tell you that this flies and is a submarine. This says it's a submersible high-speed attack and reconnaissance craft. So that, to me, that just means it's a submersible. It's a submarine. Oh, never mind. It also says flying submarine right here on the top of the box. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm a moron. Make fun of me in the comments. But and it says it on the. All right. I'll shut up. Casey saved me. I got a backhoe and I'm digging.
As a kid, this thing was fun to play with, even if Deep Six wasn't, because just like it says, it could fly, it can dive, you can do everything with it except for run on ground.
But it's an army vehicle.
Yeah, I'm glad I never read that.
But I got this later as a kid, and it wasn't complete. It was missing some pieces. So this was commonly would be one of the first vehicles in my play that would get downed. And then I would just like, yep, that's where it is. And then the battle will happen away from it or around it. And yeah, usually my Stellar Stiletto would knock this out of the air very quickly because I didn't have a lot of G.I. Joe aircraft as a kid. So having one of these was like, it was the bee's knees, it was, it was just cool. It is cool. Like you said, and you said you played with it a lot.
Yeah. When I didn't want to take my Sky Striker outside because the Sky Striker is so big, take the SHARC.
Yeah. Right. And I'll say this. I love the pop-up guns that go on the, I mean, would you say that these are engines on the wings?
I would have said it as a kid for sure.
Yeah, it's just, I always thought of them as engines, and then you realize that the real engine is in the center of behind Deep Six, underneath the engine cover in the center of the SHARC. Or does this have 3 engines?
Or thrusters.
Sharks in space?
Yep. You never know.
But, overall, like there's a ton of detail everywhere on this thing. It's not smooth bodied by any imagination, but you got ridging everywhere, which, for a submersible, I would think that normally you would want this to be smooth, for air and wind resistance. But they just gave it a little bit of, detailing to make it just, playable.
They gave it a lot of character.
One thing I was always interesting is they had the little, what would you call these, on the little stanchions where you put it down, like on the floor or something, that is just 3 points that are level. So it just sits nicely, but you don't have any like landing gear.
Right.
But the funny thing is, it's like you do have a couple spots on the bottom of the SHARC that look like they're like storage hatches or release hatches for something, like even maybe landing gear.
Right.
Yeah, it's got a lot of detail. It's definitely fun to look at and fun to, imagine how you would play with this or play, or just fuel your play. And another thing too. So this was also inspired by our recent live stream with Wes. This is a vehicle that got re-released as a repaint multiple times. It's probably one of the more released vehicles in several different forms. You have a Night Force version. You have
Sky Patrol.
In 2001, it becomes a Cobra vehicle. It becomes a Cobra sub.
Nice.
Multiple releases in the modern era. So this got a lot of love, and I think deservedly so. One thing though, I do want to point out, like overall, this toy is sturdy, but they have one huge flaw. And Casey, do you know what the flaw is with this?
I do not.
It's the canopy.
Oh.
So many canopies are broken. The tabs are coming off the hinge. Yeah, so the canopy is like the weak link on this thing. And when I was looking for mine, I don't know why, but the original release, I have even my quote unquote good one has one tab busted out of the two. So, but this one that I'm using for playtest, that one has both tabs broken on the canopy. And the other thing too that's different, or at least I'm going to say right now in the instructions, is in 2000 I built my 2001 Cobra Wave Crusher, which was the re-release. And I had it, the box was like completely destroyed, and I was just like, oh, this will be fun, building G.I. Joe vehicles again, right? And put it together, and I didn't think much of it. And then it was like one of the very first episodes of G.I. Joeberg I listened to, and Stephen Jubber posits the question, was the foam part of subsequent releases? The floating, like the buoyancy foam. And I remember, because I had just assembled the Wave Crusher, I'm like, it wasn't in 2001. So I felt like big man on campus because I was able to email him. And that's another thing right now. I can pause this right now real quick, and I'm going to test the floating action.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
So coming back to you, I just did the floating test with mine. And Casey, I got good news. This thing floats.
Oh yeah?
I submerged it and it popped right back up thanks to that buoyancy foam. So that's awesome. So it's getting, we're almost in the middle of September. I got to run out while it's still semi-warm out and put this in my stream and take some pictures.
There you go.
So I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. But
that could be a thumbnail.
Oh, well, of course. That's always the thumbnail. I always try to get good pictures or have friends take good pictures. I like doing it myself, but sometimes, life says, hey, can you help me? and we do. We have a great group of friends that if you put the call out to get a silly photo or something, no problem. And this thing floats. So I can't wait to actually try it in the stream, see how it actually works. Just have to find a good part of the stream that makes it look big enough.
There you go.
As a kid, I never took my toys outside, and I definitely can say I missed a lot by not doing that.
I lived in these apartments, and we had like a complete fenced-in little backyard area, but just enough to the neighbors. You don't have to see them, and I'd play with my Joes back there for hours. I love taking them outside.
Yeah, I had, I grew up in, a little suburb of, Connecticut, Durham, Connecticut. And yeah, we didn't have the one thing is with my house where I am now, I have this stream back in my backyard. And that's afforded me so many new opportunities. And to just, I play with my son back there sometimes, and sometimes he just plays out there by himself. And then sometimes I'm out there by myself with my G.I. Joes. So it's it's just, it's just a different way to play. Had a backyard as a kid, but most of my GI Joe play was inside my house. Almost all of it was inside my house when I was a kid. A lot of my Joe stuff I have two of
Mm-hmm.
or more. And this is one I'm glad I have two of, because this means I have a nice one that's displayed on my flag. And then I have this one, which is going to go outside, and because of the broken canopy, I'll probably use some Scotch tape to keep it shut. So this way, just aim the camera away from the Scotch tape.
Yeah.
So it looks better than it is. But, just try to get a good shot on this. And, if something happens, I'm not going to cry too much. But, it's just good to always have some of these vehicles that are, I mean, the Shark is kind of common too.
Yeah.
You go to Joe Fest, you go to Kentuckiana,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you can, swing a stick and hit a couple.
Oh, for sure.
I have never really gone out and bought a Shark in a long time, but without going on eBay right now, I mean, this has to be like what, a $20 to $30 toy.
I don't know. I got mine part of a lot, so I really haven't priced them.
Yeah. If I was to venture a guess, and this is, we're literally on computers right now, and we could go to eBay. Okay, fine. I'm going to go on eBay.
Me too.
Now back to G.I. Joe.
Complete Shark, $55 right now. 2 torpedoes, $10. This is before shipping.
I see a near complete one for $35.
Oh,
I see one complete for $36.99, but you got to pay $16 shipping. So,
and so like 50, a little over $50 complete. It's still not horrible.
I think it should be a little less, but that's just me.
No, it's no problem. Now, I guess you would say is, well, let's talk a little bit about the Shark as collectability goes. Well, all right. I mean, how would we say this as a collectible toy? How collectible would you say the Shark is? Like, if you're a GI Joe fan, how important is the Shark to your collection or most people's collections?
I'm glad I got it. I don't think you need more than one, but I think it's something that if you're a GI Joe collector and you do vehicles, because there are some collectors that don't, I would say it's probably 80% of the people would want to have it if you do vehicles.
Yeah, I think most Joe fans, like you said, if they collect vehicles, they're getting a Shark. I think it's small enough
Mm-hmm.
that even if you're not like a diehard vehicle collector, I think it's probably going to fit into your budget and or space. I think overall as a GI Joe vehicle, it is highly collectible, and I think that's part of what drives its price.
And multi-purpose, sea and air, not land.
Regardless of what the Army thinks.
Right. That still blows my mind.
Yeah, I saw that and I'm like, oh, I got to point this out. I got to say something. The stickers on it are well placed.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of these got wet, the stickers do have, just damage. They always have like little goo around them or something. I like the logo that's on the fins,
Yeah.
the shark with wings.
Very cool.
You got the hash marks on the side for how many Cobra vehicles it's taken down. So, and if you believe that, it's got 8 hash marks. So that would make Deep Six an ace. You have to have 5 kills to be considered an ace as an aviator.
But they probably weren't kills because everybody has a way out in G.I. Joe cartoons.
Well, it's vehicles destroyed. It doesn't have
There
to
you
be
go.
kills.
There
Yes.
you go.
Yes.
In the comic book, they would have been kills.
Yeah. The comic book people died.
Yes.
In Sunbow, everybody had a parachute.
Mm-hmm.
Or they were able to swim out of their Cobra submarine before Deep Six exploded it. Yeah, it's a good little vehicle. And I don't know, is there anything else you want to say before we rate this thing?
No, just that, as a kid, I had a lot of fun with it.
And just had a good question. So aside from the obvious Deep Six, how many other Joes do you think should be, piloting, riding the Shark?
I use shipwreck, torpedo, wetsuit, all your Navy guys.
Yeah, and I think the Sunbow show made it, everybody was Shark qualified, like everybody was Sky Striker qualified, everybody was Skyhawk qualified.
Yeah.
So, I have no problem being that 80s kid to throw quick kick or airtight, my buddy airtight in there, Duke, airborne.
Yeah. I guess my play pattern was just I kept my Navy guys to the Navy stuff.
Hey, there's no wrong way to play with GI Joe if you're playing with GI Joe.
Right.
So, all right, Casey, why don't you go first and rate the Shark? All right, rate the Shark on a scale of 0 to 5 acoustic homing torpedoes.
3. Solid 3 though. Solid 3.
I'm going to give this a 3.5. I'm just going to be a little bit higher than you on this one. I got 3.5 Series 1 acoustic homing torpedoes on this thing. So I got an extra half torpedo on you. Yeah, like you said, this thing's a solid toy.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the toy itself, the Shark itself is more fun than Deep Six. But today I now have a newfound respect for the charm of Deep Six.
Now, just FYI, I believe somebody 3D prints actual seats for these now. And you can put them in there. I think Eric's got that. So he can have a regular Joe pilot it and he's sitting up. Like lean back a little bit.
Well, I got still sitting around from our Law episode. I got 1993's Law. And yeah, it doesn't take much. Yeah, it doesn't take much. It sits pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
A regular O-ring figure sits pretty fine in there, but it's kind of loosey goosey. Yeah, so that'd be interesting. Yeah, buy a 3D seat and you can fit them sitting up.
Yep.
Now, of course, I'm not a large modern collector, but I wonder if the moderns do that too, or if the moderns are sitting down or laying down.
I'd be interested to find that out.
And seeing as how I got that this thing's still soaking wet, but that's the one other thing I remember from when I played with GI Joes as a kid. Not all back pegs are the same. So 93 Law is just falling on and off the pegs for the torpedoes as I'm dripping water all over me now. But yeah, so there we have it for the Shark. And that concludes this Missal for the masses. This has been the Chaplain Sisters Motor Pod, and thank you for listening. Chaplain Sisters Motor Pod is hosted by Spotify for podcasters and is also found on many of the other popular podcatchers. Please like, share, review, comment, or otherwise interact with them, as it only helps to improve and grow this podcast. For more Chaplain Sisters Motor Pod, you can find me on social media at Chaplain Joe Pod on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. Or you can just do it somewhat old-fashioned way and send an email to chaplainjoepod@gmail.com.
And if you want to contact me, you can get a hold of me at podcastfromthepit@gmail.com or our Facebook group, Podcast from the Pit, or, check out our YouTube show. That would be awesome. We're always looking to grow that.
Yeah, the Chaplain Sisters Motor Pod is the strange but not a strange nerdy little brother of the Pint, a pop culture podcast. And with all of that said and done, one final missile for the masses: be decent to one another.
Take care, everybody.
Collect those bottle caps. And now we got the water coming down through the pipe.
Hey, it's perfect for what we're talking about.
I'm gonna save that audio. And I'm just gonna loop it the entire episode. Yeah, see, she agrees. She knew.
She's getting grumpy in her old age.
Oh. Well, she likes the shark too, and you know.
Now she's getting the other one going.
Oh, geez. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It'll be 2 weeks before I edit this one anyway. Sorry, Delta 17.